বলেন, আনমিউট করুন, আদারওয়াইজ আমরা শুরু করছি। সবাইকে শুভ সন্ধ্যা। Good evening everybody. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all at this online inaugural ceremony of the Center for Comparative due to the pandemic, and we really miss our WBSU campus by the lush greenness of trees and wonderful water bodies. Yet this is a happy occasion for all of us, and we are all here together at the inaugural ceremony. CCSC is an interdisciplinary center operating from within the Department of Sociology at West Bengal State University, encouraging collaborations with theoretically inclined researchers across social sciences and humanities. I would now request the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the West Bengal State University, Professor Bashab Choudhury, to inaugurate the center. Kintu sir has left, I don't know. Maybe there are some problems. So I think he'll be joining in a moment. So I'll now request Professor Bashab Choudhury, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the West Bengal State University, to just inaugurate the center. In spite of the fact that our Vice Chancellor is a renowned scholar in the field of natural sciences, he takes keen interest in social sciences and humanities and encourages all our academic efforts. Please, sir. Sir, you need to unmute yourself. We are just asking you to inaugurate the center. Vice Chancellor, sir, can you hear us?
যেটা বোঝা যাচ্ছে ঋতু উনি অন দ্য ওয়ে আছেন, বোধে শুনতে পাচ্ছেন না, মানে এবং মোবাইল থেকে কানেক্ট করছেন, অতএব ফোন করেও কোনো ইয়ে হবে না। লেট আস ওয়েট দেন 2 minutes.
Let's wait for 2 more minutes. Now sir has started presenting. So what will we do?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Hello, Professor Sen Choudhury, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Professor Sen Choudhury, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. You are
Professor Sen Choudhury, can you hear me now?
Yes.
You are audible.
Hello. Yes. Yes. You know, I was traveling. I do not know, because of some problem. Connectivity was was an issue, and that is why I was not in a position to come earlier. I am now moving from Barashat to my house, and while I am traveling, I have to join this particular webinar, where a center under the auspices of the Department of Sociology in the West Bengal State University is being opened today. with the active help and support of all the scholars of the university and from outside the university. I see Professor Pujan Sen. There is also professor from Center of Studies in Social Sciences and other places. I still do not have the entire list because of the connectivity issue, and whole day I had to organize I am late in reaching my house today. Anything anything new that happens in the university, that gives me enormous pleasure. Not because I am actively playing a role over there, but because of the great initiative that is being taken by the teachers. University is basically a place where there should be meeting of minds, and these meeting of minds happens through through different activities, and people must be engaged in terms of scholarship and doing research and doing teaching and doing propagation of knowledge in different forms. So in this particular case, Professor Shen Choudhury took upon herself the duty or the responsibility to start a center, and the University Executive Council considered the matter and agreed that there should be a center under the Department of Sociology, where different gender issues and women's issues and many other aspects related to the system, to the issue, I mean broadly, will be discussed and deliberated upon. So this is the first occasion where the center is having this meeting in presence of the stalwarts of the subject of sociology, and I'm indeed grateful to that they have come over here, and they have come over here on this platform, and they are ready to utilize their knowledge and their expertise with our people. I see also the IQAC people, the teachers of Department of English. I'm seeing the names, Department of History, and all others who are literate, who are very, very active in terms of teaching and research, and who have come to this forum to discuss and deliberate, and in general to hear. The other day, just yesterday, I was reading something written by one lady writer, who is also an IAS officer. I am forgetting the name. Who was an IAS officer? She's a great writer. I am forgetting the name. So she has written something very interesting, that Lekhak versus male Lekhak. Lekhak, writer, is basically writer, and Medel Lekhak. Medel Lekhak means basically for those male Lekhak. So trying to understand, trying to differentiate the gender aspects and this and that. That was the idea. So Anita Agnihotri. Anita Agnihotri is writing. I was going through yesterday, and there she said something very, very good. That she was being honored by some people, and a writer who is a male, he said that you have written that book. That book has been praised. So Anita Agnihotri asked, "Have you read the book?" So the writer said, "No, I did not read the book, but my Pishima read, my Mashima read, my Bodi read, my Didi read," something like that. So there is a clear differentiation between Lekhak and Medel Lekhak. Things like that, this happens. So many issues will be discussed. I just remember this. I'm indeed grateful that all of you have come over here. Whatever happens in West Bengal State University pleases me beyond no end. I am very happy that I am here today, and I have been given the privilege to inaugurate this particular center, which I am doing with all humility in presence of the scholars, whose towering scholarship is something that would have been good. I mean, it would have been good if I could have emulated them, their scholarship. I'm indeed grateful. I'm paying my respect to the scholars. I am paying my respect to the teachers of the university. I am paying my respect to all my students who are on the platform, to all the research scholars, and to everyone for coming over here and keeping the flag of West Bengal State University high at the highest possible level. University is a concept that has been there for thousands of years. The Cambridge University, the Oxford University, they're old. I personally had the privilege of not visiting, of working in the University of Groningen, the Netherlands. And I used to go to the university, which is, I think, 500 years old. And I used to walk down and feel that, 500 years, through 500 years, people have walked in through the university and kept their mark on the university. Something very pleasing, something very great. So I indeed am grateful to all of you that all of you have come. There was some technical issue with my telephone, and that is why I kept you waiting. For which I am indeed sorry. I express my apology for that, and I wish you very well, all well. This is a very difficult situation, particularly during this pandemic, and I wish that all of you keep yourselves in good health and spirit, and discuss and deliberate and raise issues and bring up matters which are of relevance to the modern society, and anything that makes the society equal, more democratic, more powerful, more synchronous, more active in terms of spreading the awareness. Anything, they are all welcome, and I hope the center lives up to the expectation and does a great job under the leadership of the teachers of the Department of Sociology of the West Bengal State University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Many thanks for your words of encouragement. We look forward to hear more from you in future occasions. After this formal inauguration, we are moving on to the second part of the ceremony. I would now hand this over to Titi Chatterjee, who is the Deputy Director of the Center. Without her efficiency, intellect, and relentless efforts, the center wouldn't have seen the light of the day. I would request Titi to clear the rest of the evening. Please, Titi.
Thank you, Rituvi. Am I audible, Rituvi?
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Professor Ritu Sen Chaudhary, Professor and Head Department of Sociology, West Bengal State University, and also the Director of the Center for conceiving this idea. It has been her dream project, as she has been consistently engaged with areas and issues related to social theory for many years. Her commitment and dedication towards doing comparative theory enabled her to conceive this center, and we are very much thankful to her for that. Now, a very good evening to everybody, and I welcome all once again to this auspicious evening. So as I can see, we have many faculties with us today, not only from our university, but from various other universities and institutes who are very closely associated with this center. We are very honored to enjoy the presence of Professor Shefali Moitro. She is a former professor, Department of Philosophy, Jadavpur University, and former director, School of Women's Studies, Jadavpur University. We are also honored to have with us Professor Pavan Chakraborty. He is the Distinguished Professor in Humanities, Presidency University, Kolkata. He has served as Professor of English, Jadavpur University, Director General of the National Library of India, Kolkata, and Secretary and Curator of Victoria Memorial Hall, Kolkata. From our university, we have Professor Arun Hota, Professor and Head of the Department of Hindi, West Bengal State University. We also have Professor Kaushik Bandyopadhyay, Professor of History, West Bengal State University. We have Dr. Sneha Kaur Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, Department of English, West Bengal State University. Then we have Dr. Hardik Brata Vishwa. She is an independent researcher and is associated with many universities in Bengal as visiting faculty. We have with us Shayan Chattopadhyay. He is the Assistant Professor in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at Baruipur College, affiliated to the University of Calcutta. We also have with us Professor Shubha Vishash, Professor and Head of the Department of Anthropology, West Bengal State University. We have with us Professor Shubha Chatterjee Sarkar, Professor, Department of History, West Bengal State University. We now move on to the main program. I'm sure many others will be joining us later.
Before that, Titir, I'll just before that, I just want to specially welcome Professor Pradeep Ghosh, Professor Pujan Chen, and Professor Shubha Dash Gupta Chakraborty, and we are grateful that they are here together. They are here, and they'll be and I really welcome them here, and we are eager. We would be listening to them today, this evening. And so now let us move on to the next phase of the event.
Thank you, Ritudi. I also welcome Professor Pradeep Ghosh, Professor Pujan Sen, and also the others present here. And now we move on to the main program. And now the theme of the center will be introduced to us by Dr. Anirban Dash. Dr. Dash is the Associate Professor in Cultural Studies at the Center for Studies of Social Sciences, Calcutta. His areas of interest are feminist, Marxian and post-colonial theory, deconstruction, the body, science studies and medical epistemology, and theory in a broad sense. So, with a background of applied natural sciences and subsequent training in history followed by philosophy, he tries to combine empirical research with philosophical analysis. He has published Towards the Politics of the Impossible, the Body in Third World Feminism in 2010 and edited Bangla Binirman Obinirman in 2007. He has also published several articles on science in the colony, post-colonial theory and feminist theory in renowned journals in both English and Bengali. Now I would like to request Professor Dash to please introduce the theme. Professor Dash, it's over to you now. Professor Anirban Dash. Anirban, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, there's a little problem with the line here. So like it's really a happy moment for me because on the one hand, like it's really happy and a proud moment for me because like to be able to talk here about the theme of the center because one of the few people who talked with Ritu at a very early stage about the conceptualization of this center. I was one of them, and practically I think what I'll do is like I won't talk long. I will just try to introduce the sort of the note that we have already prepared because that is something I think like puts in a very few words what we think the center to be and what we expect from it. So the first thing I think is like the idea of the center began from a felt need among a few people, a felt need to have a space to do theoretically oriented research in the social sciences and the humanities. Of course, there are a number of spaces in Kolkata. Definitely, we have very famous, very important spaces while this type of work is done. But still, some of us were feeling that there were some problems that we felt were happening in the academia, and we felt that needed to be addressed. So, what was these problems? If one wants to think of the background in which we were thinking about our new center, the background would be to say in a very simplified and very like succinct manner, the background of a certain reaction against theory in various forms that happen to be operative in present day academia. By present day, I do not mean only a few years. It maybe it's about 1 or 2 decades now that this sort of reaction against theoretical high theory, one might say, and definitely that is a reaction against a sort of bias for doing very abstract theoretical sort of work, which have been there in the 80s or 90s, maybe from 70s on, like it started around the world. So it's a reaction, but the forms which this reaction took are many. And one of the forms would be to think of the ineffectiveness of theory as if reliance on practice, a reliance on a sort of descriptive empiricism is practice. Another one is to think of condemning the elitism implicit in theoretical research, which an elitism which work in many ways, which worked definitely in certain ways in a very sort of niche audience which these types of work addressed, and definitely the male white upper class supremacist nature of theoreticism that has been active before. But the reactions were as if one can get rid of these very important and intricate political problems by avoiding explicit theoretical discussions. A simple enough epistemic solution to a deep-rooted political difficulty, one might say. And all these are obviously fallacious, but the most nuanced move in this direction is based on the knowledge of a co-constitution of theory and description. It's not really focus on more on the descriptive sort of social sciences, but on a certain knowledge of the theory implicit in description, and a call to keep on with the descriptions, keeping the theory implicit. I'm talking of a perceived necessity to keep theory implicit, of the interdiction as if on overt and intricate engagement with theory. And this interdiction comes in various guises, sometimes a tiredness, a sense of exhaustion, a light-headed nod, an all-knowing smile of recognition. And all these, I think many of us faced in different phases of their academic career. But it's not to say that against these, there is a sort of high theoreticism to which one should refer to. We were thinking of theory in terms of the social, as the name of the center itself shows. And here, the notion of the social also is not only in terms of a social sciences only, but a social which would include, would move into, would flow into certain forms of culture, certain forms of literary, and the other aspects of humanities. So, in a way, thinking, a necessity of thinking in terms of the conceptual, a necessity in thinking in terms of the conceptual when one thinks of the empirical, a necessity in thinking in terms of a comparative dimensions, not only in terms of a north-south divide, but also comparisons across disciplinary boundaries. those were some of the things that animated our imaginations when we thought of a new kind of space to do work. And just to deal with one other aspect, it's not only to think of a certain way of working across humanities, the social sciences, the natural sciences, that definitely are very much necessary, and definitely in the present form of the pandemic, present form of the world, uh, which we encounter during the times of the pandemic, which shows more than before maybe the necessity of thinking across the natural sciences, the social sciences, and the humanities. The way all these go on to co-constitute each other, and the necessity of thinking in terms of their interconnectedness, in terms of how they move into each other when one wants to address any of the problems that face us in our life and in our thoughts. And just to end, another important aspect which we wanted to address through our center was the question of the hegemonic gradient that works across the north-south divide. A gradient which tends to put the local in terms of a sort of a ghettoized, internally complete locality, and which uh, remains on the one hand as sources uh, of raw materials for theorizing from the north. On the other hand, maybe in a sort of what one might call a sort of an inversion, a call to keep to oneself, to keep to a local ghetto of thinking. So we wanted to go beyond this, and our attempt, hopefully, through the center will be to move for a certain way of addressing the hegemony in terms of an equal engagement, in terms of engagement with the others on equal grounds. And to be very careful here, the sort of equality we are thinking of here is not an equality on liberal grounds, but an equality which is a political move to confront inequalities. So a sort of equality which is utopic, to work through a utopic ground of equality to which one knows is not there, but one always has to work through. That sort of theoretical, social kind of academic work we are looking for. I think that's the way we thought of the central thematic around this center. And maybe if someone from either Ritu, Titi, Hardik, or anyone else who can add something, but for now I will take here. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Das, for such a thought-provoking and informative introduction to our theme. Now we are very much honored to have Professor Pradeep Kumar Bose with us to give the inaugural statement. Though his name needs no introduction, still I would like to give a short introduction for our young scholars who have and students who have joined us through the YouTube live stream. Professor Pradeep Kumar Bose is the former professor of Sociology, Center for Studies in Social Sciences, Calcutta, a leading sociologist of the country, an expert in research methodology, and above all known as a superb essayist. His writings in English and Bengali on tribes, castes, and families in Bengal are widely read. His work on the cultural history of Bengal has been equally significant. Professor Bose has edited a classified compilation of Bengali journals of 19th century, the first volume of which is titled as Samoiki Purono Samoik Potrer Prabandha Sankalan, and was published in 1998. He has also edited Refugees in West Bengal, Institutional Practices and Contested Identities in 2001, a seminal work on refugee flows and practices of care and rehabilitation in West Bengal in the first decade following independence. Some of his current publications include Conceptual Types, Health and Societal Bengali Periodicals, published in 2005, Perspectives in Early Indian Sociology, published in 2018, Michel Foucault, Shesh Porjayet Totto Bhabna in Bengali in 2019, among many others. Now, I would like to request Professor Bose to please give the inaugural address and launch the website of CCST. Sir, please, it's over to you now.
Well, thank you, Sujit, and thank you, Department of Sociology, for inviting me to this occasion. I congratulate the university and the Department of Sociology for launching this Center for Comparative Social Theory, and I'm sure that what has been promised will be seen in practice also in the coming days, and I'm looking forward to the activities of this Center for Comparative Social Theory. Now, basically, I'm not giving an address really, but short few remarks on this occasion, and it will be not very long. It will probably end in 5 or 10 minutes. So I really like the idea from which this center is kind of trying to pursue, that the social sciences are in principle comparative fields. They say you have said in your initial notes that it is, and very rightly so. And I will make some remarks in in favor of this kind of a thinking, and talk about not simply on comparative social theory, but more generally as about comparative kind of a sociology. Now, basically, as you know, that or I believe that all sociology is implicitly comparative, basically, and that is the key theme in your center also, since social phenomena are invariably held in some way to be typical, representative, or unique, all of which imply appropriate comparison. Durkheim was therefore correct to insist that comparative sociology is not a particular branch of sociology, it is sociology itself. It is not a particular branch of sociology, it is sociology itself, insofar as it ceases to be purely descriptive and aspires to account for facts. This Durkheim says in the Rules of Sociological Method. Consequently, there is no one comparative method, and so there is no one comparative theory, since all research techniques can be used to facilitate comparison. Two general orientations of comparative analysis are evident in the literature. First, there are those studies which seek similarity. For example, almost whole corpus of modernization theory takes this form. The danger of this approach is that context is ignored in the search for illustration of allegedly universal proposition. At the other extreme are studies which search for variance. These emphasize the specific historicity of societies, reject the search for general theories or laws, and use comparative research to shed light on the difference between cultures in order to understand better specific arrangements that are found within each. Max Weber's comparative sociology offers a good example of this kind of comparative theory. Correspondingly, the problem here is that sociological explanation or theory may be sacrificed on the altar of the context. Hence, all sociological theory involves the comparison of cases or variables which are similar in some respects and dissimilar in others. The term comparative method denotes a particular interest in institutional and macrosocial factors analyzed comparatively across different societies or the distribution of other specific phenomena in different societies. A major methodological or theoretical issue is whether the units of comparison, whole societies, for example, whole societies, major institutions, religions, groups, and so on, and the indicators chosen to compare differences or similarities are genuinely comparable or can be legitimately be used outside their specific cultural settings. Comparative research across societies faces a second dilemma whether to focus on similarity, as I said, or whether to focus on difference. Studies that set out to prove some general theory tend to emphasize similarity in support of their hypothesis. For example, the convergence thesis, the industrial societies were becoming similar, failed to appreciate national differences that qualified this model. Conversely, comparative method may become comparative description, which illuminates differences between societies but fails to explain these other than saying that societies differ in their histories. Comparative method is neither a distinct methodology nor a particular theory, but rather a perspective. This is what I want to say about comparative theory and comparative method. I think you can keep this in mind if you kind of pursue the comparative theoretical, comparative social kind of theory. But I am also to say, happy to see in your in your note that you have extended the space of comparison, I would say, or space of comparative theory by planning to utilize it as a critique of majoritarian kind of a discourse. You try at a time, you kind of plan to focus on the minor discourses and kind of facilitate more attention to these kind of minor discourses. And I am quite kind of hopeful that if you really pursue these kind of research kind of programs, I think some fruitful kind of ideas and fruitful kind of descriptions can be available. You are also basically trying to interrogate the various kind of hegemonies, global and local. So that I welcome this program of interrogating hegemonies. I am sure your brief course of action is quite impressive, but I am only kind of hope that they don't remain in paper, but they are put in practice. You publish occasional papers, you do research projects, you have a plan for publication of a journal. These are all very commendable kind of programs, and I hope that you will I'm sure if you try, you will be succeeding in this kind of enterprise. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Pradip.
Uh,
May I request you to
yes,
launch the website, please? It's just a
Well,
formal inauguration.
okay,
Can
okay,
you please do
okay,
that?
okay. Okay. I'm very happy to launch the website. I hope that it should be very popular among the sociological students. They would kind of learn much from your website, and I do hope I will also frequent your website whenever I intend to, and I think I would be happy to see your website and will be kind of forced to visit again and again. That is my hope. So I am happy to launch this website.
Thanks, Pradip. Auditro, can I just request you to present the web page? I mean, uh, can you do that, please, for us? Are you there, Auditro?
Yes, ma'am. It is showing. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the home page. Can you just scroll it down, up for a
Okay,
while? Yeah.
okay.
So we have sections for publications, resource, events. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Aritro. So yes, we are also happy. And Titi, will you please request Professor Pujan Shen now?
yes. Thank you, sir, for such thought-provoking and encouraging words. Thank you very much. We are also glad to have Professor Pujan Sen with us. Professor Sen is a very familiar face for not only the students and scholars of our department, but mostly to all the students of sociology across West Bengal. Professor Sen is like a pillar for the Department of Sociology, West Bengal State University, and I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Sir to our young scholars who have joined us through YouTube. Professor Pujan Sen is the former professor at Department of Sociology, Kalyani University. His specialization and research interests include social research methodology, Indian society, Indian sociological thinkers, industrial sociology, and environmental sociology. Professor Sen is a part of many administrative and statutory bodies of various universities and institutes. He has extensively published in many reputed national and international journals and has edited several books. One of his books, Indian Society, Continuity and Change, published in 2012, is one of the most widely read books of Indian sociology. Now, I would like to request Professor Sen to please say a few words and publish the occasional papers. Sir, please, it's over to you now.
Thank you, Titir. Thank you, Ritu. I'm audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir, perfectly. You are audible.
I feel privileged and honored to be a part of this inaugural program. As Ritu told me that I have a task today to announce 3 occasional papers. The papers written by 3 younger social scientists. Occasional paper 1, King Budhni Mejhan, Displaced Images and Portable Bodies by Hardik Broto Biswas. Occasional paper 2, Reading the Image of Thought, Truth Claim and Common Sense in Journalism by Shayan Chattopadhyay. And occasional paper 3, Jetties and Close-Ups, Abject Monstrosity and the Desire to Kill by Senjuti Datta. Thank you all. As I've already told you, that I really feel honored to be a part of this program. A few months back, when Professor Ritu Sen Chaudhuri told me about this project, I felt extremely happy. I know what are the difficult situation in our universities of this state, and despite all these difficulties, they have ventured such a wonderful program. I really believe this center would be a platform for social scientists across the disciplines and across the universities of the state of West Bengal, especially for the younger social scientists and scholars of humanities. I do have some expectations from this center. I'm not going to present before you any lengthy speech. I'll just tell you some bullet points in regard to my expectation. We all know there is a gap between what is termed theory in sociology or social sciences and empirical social research. I hope one of the goals of this center will be to look into some of the causes of this gap and to suggest some ways of closing them or at least making them narrower. I expect that this center will focus on the analysis of the relationship between comparative social studies and the development of social theory. We all know that there are problems with testability and preciseness of general sociological theories. There are problems in defining meaningful and operationalized concepts for broadly valid and comparatively testable hypotheses and theories. I hope this center will address these problems. I think I should stop now. I should not speak anything more. With these hopes, I conclude my speech, and I hope journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. This center will have to go a long way, a long way. Thank you all.
Many thanks, sir. Many thanks.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiration and for your cooperation as always. Now we are fortunate enough to have Professor Shubha Chakraborty Dashgupta with us. She is the former professor of the Department of Comparative Literature, Jadavpur University. She was the visiting professor of Modern Indian Language and Literary Studies, Delhi University, and Foreign Studies at Tokyo University. She was the editor of the prestigious journal Jadavpur Journal of Comparative Literature. She has extensively published in numerous national and international journals and edited several volumes. Her renowned publications include Figures of Transcontinental Multilingualism, jointly edited with Alphonse North, Checklist of Autobiographies in Bangla and Oriya, jointly edited with Jatin Nayak, Sahitya Potrikay Rabindranath, jointly edited with Shampa Chaudhuri and Smita Khatter, among others. Now I would like to request Professor Chakraborty to please say a few words. Ma'am, it's over to you now.
Adi.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Good evening to all of you here. This is, of course, it gives me great pleasure, and I think it's a great honor to be a part of this important event. My deep gratitude to Professor Ritu Sen Chaudhuri, Professor Titi Chatterjee, and all other organizers of the Center for Comparative Social Theory, Department of Sociology, West Bengal University. I feel doubly grateful because the inauguration comes at a time when the future looks so bleak with the specter of deepening inequalities, with overwhelming global mechanisms of unidirectional moves of profit and more profit. And so this is, it's really important to keep and you're doing that. This is also a time in history that makes us proclaim that if not now, then when. So yours is a timely intervention to keep work and analysis anchored on keeping hopes alive. Now, there are several entry points to your concept note, as have been fleshed out by Professor Anirban Das, Professor Pradeep Kumar Bose, and Professor Pujan Sen. To begin with, this is. I will just pick up one such point and maybe say a few words around it. And of course, uh, I will be yes, I will, and that point will be the word comparative. Of course, we just heard Professor Bose, who analyzed the whole concept of comparativism so well. But I will just say a few very general words on this. And this is, comparison is at the heart of of perhaps the cognitive process. And going further, it helps in leading one out of essences, reinforces complexities of the world, of social phenomena, and undoes binaries of either or. The integrating and differentiating aspects of comparativism as one proceeds with I will not call it methodology, but with the perspective, has the potential to perhaps to enter into to examine, to look at a dialectical process between the phenomenon compared, in this case social theories, and the surrounding context. So there can be a few pitfalls related to the comparative process, but I think you've already taken care of the issues by taking up a very broad perspective of including disciplines and within them theories, imbricating them in a rich fabric, and then working towards eliminating hegemonies, and then also trying to arrive at sustainability, sustainability for all concerned, for the entire planet, I think. Now, an example of comparativism comes to mind, and this is from the work of Arturo Escobar, who points to the work of another post-colonial critic, Deborah Bird Rose, stating that Western dualism leads to disconnectedness, and with the whole, or leads to disconnections of the self with the world outside. These connections become more and more difficult to sustain and to experience as real. Now, Escobar says that there are groups throughout the world who do not base their social life on the distinction between nature and culture, between the human and the non-human. So this kind of comparativism has great potentials, as you can see. To move on, what I think I also read in the interstices of your project is the concept of interconnectedness and relationality, a space into which comparativism often branches out, and of course, which again has immense potentials. But here again, it is important to point out that relations, networks of relations, even within the literary, the historical, tend to operate within certain circuits and are not uh, often inclusionary. So how does one go beyond the network? So there are answers to this as well. And here again, Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak comes to our help and talks of engaging with relations without relations. In this context, it could mean engaging language, symbolism, text, and meaning, imbricated in the literary, the historical, and the sociological, and which would also mean that going to places where ordinarily one wouldn't go. So the task before you is immense and challenging. You have been working on it for a long time, as I know, and as is evident from the work that have just been released. but the challenge is very much there. For you, it will involve looking for theories that have been swept under the blanket, looking for theories that have been forgotten or that have not been identified as theory. Maybe in a theory that may be in an amorphous state, and will have to be given shape in the context of the vernacular or even of the global South in general. So this is a theory that has to be generated. Maybe language also has to be generated to sort of to hold this theory. Language that operates between the old and the new, between the West and the rest. So, so your task may involve comparing the flickering signifier of a narrative, for instance, in the electronic world, with the uh, folk forms that are birthed within the ephemeral, the contingent, and their emergent semantic properties, that is, their meanings and values. So both have links underlying, but both have underlying links, and both are projected upon links, I think. And as a character in an electronic fiction states, links are hard to do in. They stretch far. So you are also trying to create links between theories, which means between spaces, cultures, and those links would be difficult to do, would be hard to do in, and that would also stretch far. I wish you all the best in your journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shubhadi. Thanks much. And really, while you talk about amorphous theories and the implications of knowledges which are not considered as theories, I mean, yes, this is something which we indeed would like to look at. And yes, thank you very much, Shubhadi. Yes, over to Titir.
Thank you, ma'am, for your expert comments and advice. So we have almost reached the end of this beautiful evening. And before concluding, would like to request Professor Ritu Sen Chaudhary, the director of the center, to please give the closing statement. Rituji, it's over to you now.
But maybe before I don't have to say much. I'll just say a few lines. But then I would just request I would just request the audience. I mean, anyone, if any one of you, if you want to say something, share your views with us, please do, because we have very many senior professors of different departments. So I would request all of you, if any one of you want to say something, please.
I request Professor Sutapa Chatterjee Sarkar, if she could spare some words with us.
Are you there, Shutapadi? Can you hear us?
Kausik is there. Kausik can. Okay, then Professor Kausik Bandyopadhyay, please.
Yes, a very good evening to all of you. I think this is a wonderful effort on the part of the Department of Sociology. And when Professor Ritu Sen Chaudhary told me about this project, I was really thrilled, because this is going to be, I think, a platform where true interdisciplinary studies and perspectives can come together. And in our university, this platform would really inspire our young scholars and researchers and students to exchange their views. And as I have little experience of, a bit of experience of working with Professor Sen Chaudhary in some interdisciplinary efforts, I truly appreciate her role in initiating this particular center, which I hope that would become a jewel in the crown of the university. Thank you so much.
Many thanks, Kaushikda. Anyone else? Any one of you? So, yeah, so let me just end this event as a center, and we really need to really need to work and really need to see how things go before we say something. But then let me say a few words on how we came to think about this center, or more specifically, why we want to eke out a space for social theory as such. Actually, in the course of our exchanges with the academic world of social sciences and humanities, we witness that a group of scholars are coming to wonder if the intellectual drive called theory might have finally petered out. The problem of reflexivity, questioning how to do theory in full awareness of its white, patriarchal, and Western biases, which Anirbanda had already talked about, has been posed much earlier and remained a persistent point of apprehension for the contemporary theorists. Now, more recent discourses have begun to place this concern in a different way. In a seemingly post-theoretical turn, the social sciences have moved the focus away from theory to a rich archive of events and phenomena in a purportedly more open relationship to the particularities of real life. In this turn, self-reflexivity taken for granted, and thus the task of thinking through reflections is often ignored, sometimes not thought necessary, and more often subjected to a predictable, a cursory gloss. In this conjuncture, we raise a few questions. We ask, what mechanisms are in play in this dismissal of theory? Whence do attacks on theory gather their strength, and what is their true target? A discourse that bases its epistemology and practice on unmediated and definitive notions of quote unquote real life and experience is simply another deluded form of hegemonization, complicit with the global gendered racial forces it claims to oppose. We keep asking, how can we be so sure about what we know? Aren't our open relationships to the particularities of real life always haunted by the unknown? Surety, whose claim is it? Over whom? So I must end here. And once again, I would, I'm really grateful that all of us are here in this ceremony. And yeah, over to Titi.
Thank you, Ritvik. We have reached the end of today's online inaugural event of CCST, Center for Comparative Social Theory. And I deem it a great honor and privilege to be given the opportunity to thank everyone on this auspicious day of the inauguration of the Center for Comparative Social Theory, CCST, an interdisciplinary center operating from within the Department of Sociology at the West Bengal State University. First and foremost, I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Bashok Choudhury, for inaugurating this center and his words of inspiration. I thank him for his keen interest, vision, and continuous support in all our efforts. My heartfelt thanks goes to Professor Ramanuj Ganguly for his unending support and guidance as the senior-most professor of our department. We are very much thankful to Professor Arun Hota, Professor Kaushik Bandyopadhyay, Professor Shubir Vishwas, Dr. Sneha Kaur Chaudhuri, Professor Shubha Chatterjee Sarkar, and Professor Shukla Basu, who had joined us today and made this program a success. We are very much grateful to Professor Pradeep Kumar Bosh, Professor Pujan Sen, and Professor Shubha Chakraborty Dashgupta, who, despite their busy schedule, has found time to give us the opportunity to witness their deliberations. We thank them for their expertise and insightful observations that will help this center to go ahead. I owe my sincere regards and gratitude to Professor Anirban Dash for being a part of conceiving the entire project and mentoring us in every step. My sincere reverence goes to Dr. Srirupa Prasad for her constant support and guidance in all our efforts. I sincerely thank Professor Shefali Moitro, Professor Shapun Chakraborty, and Professor Shati Ghosh for joining us today and thereby inspiring us in our future endeavors. My sincere thanks goes to all the faculties of the various departments of West Bengal State University for their guidance and encouragement in all our efforts. Thank you would be a very small word for the commitment and efforts of Dr. Hardik Vishwas and Shayan Chattopadhyay. Still, I would like to thank them for their unending support, suggestions, and methodical planning. The designing, layout, and presentation of the CCST website would have been impossible without their tireless determination. I owe special gratitude to our technical coordinator, Oritra Banerjee, for his commitment, dedication, and tireless support. He has now become a part of all our technical endeavors. Last but not the least, this center would not have been possible without the efforts of Professor Ritu Sen Chaudhuri, the director of the center, who conceptualized the entire project and worked tirelessly to give a shape to her dreams. Now we come to the end of this beautiful evening. However, it is just a beginning for this toddler named Center for Comparative Social Theory, and we hope to enjoy the guidance, support, and cooperation of all to make this center a success. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Titir. And this is our time to thank Titir Chatterjee on behalf of the Department of Sociology and also on behalf of the CCST. Thanks, Titir. Thanks, everyone else. So, come to the end of this event. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Pradipta.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you, Ritu.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being
Thank
there.
you, sir.
Thank you, Titir.
Thanks to all of you. Thank you so much.
Shubhadi, thank you.
Thank you.
অসম্ভব ভালো লেগেছে আপনার প্রোগ্রাম।
Thank you. কোথায় পড়া যাবে এই বইগুলো?
আচ্ছা, এটা আপনি দেখবেন এই যে ওয়েবসাইটটা আছে, এটা এইখানে আমি আপনাকে লিংকটা এখানেও দেওয়া আছে, আমি আলাদা করে আপনাকে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ করে দেবো। তো ওটা হচ্ছে একটা ওয়েবসাইটটার মধ্যে আপনি দেখবেন পাবলিকেশন বলে একটা
ওখানে থাকবে।
গেলেই হ্যাঁ
লিংকটা পেলাম না, লিংক করতে পারছি না। লিখবে
ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ,
জুমে ছিল মিটিং, কিসে ছিল? গুগল মিটিং তো শেষ হয়ে গেছে, বন্ধ করে দাও, রিস্টার্ট করে দাও, কেটে যাবে। তুমি কি চা খাবে? খেতে পারি একটু? আচ্ছা, রূপা শুধু কাকুকে একটা চা দিবে।
চা খাবো তো পুজো।
ঠিক আছে, সায়ন, হার্দিক এদের একটু দেখি।